we go.
Okay, who's out here? Go first. Break the ice.
I know, huh?
Or the arms, whichever.
Yeah, I know, huh?
How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. You guys don't mind being on YouTube, do you?
Of course not.
Okay. Just like to ask. Don't want to just throw anybody out that don't want to be there.
I'm only
Yeah.
want it by some mortgage stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
IRS has a
I'll turn the location thing off on it. I won't tell them where we're at.
Oh, they put your name in the paper, and all that was $35. Oh,
What's going on?
Oh. We brought Kendall in there, boy. I pulled up in there. I got everybody to brought. Good morning. I'd like to ask each and every one of you to please make sure your electronic devices are in that thrill me mode or off, please.
Last time she ate a brownie for blood sugar. Said last time I ate a brownie, my blood sugar was 170 and I
Oh, you mean out here? Well, that's not right. I mean, that's the wrong stand. That's the lightweight stand.
But it's the problem is.
I'm the younger daughter.
We were gonna bring, I'm the oldest one, but it's. Yeah. Yeah, but I know the heavier stands, they don't blow over.
No.
Well, it's. But we'll just have to take. It's got 4 feet on it, and it's, that wide, about that deep.
Oh wow, yeah, that ain't going.
No, it'll be.
Yeah, we just tap it off there. We can get it
Well,
off
that,
there.
how you doing? I'm doing real good.
But that's why I said that's a lightweight stand right there.
Good.
Ceremony.
At least for today. At least for today. I gotta have guarantees about tomorrow. But I looked on the bottom of my foot. Yeah? No expiration date? No expiration date. But there wasn't any warranty either. Well, I was in the doctor's office here last week for my typical checkup, right? And he says, oh, you're doing good. And I said, okay. How long do you guarantee me? And he says, until you walk out that door.
That's right.
If you fall over before you walk out the door, they just carry you out.
Yeah.
So you don't care.
Oh, hi, honey. How are you? So Mike won. Mike is the new judge.
Oh, yes, yes. So what's going to happen now? Are you going to take
Well,
over?
he is, I have to be appointed. He is going to go to the Board of Commissioners of the coming ones and the ones after. And suggested appointment as years ago. Yeah, they didn't even like it. But he said, I built the office, I run the office. I can't do it too finished. I said, if I'm not going because I have no way of doing it. I go on and have some really bad attempts. It's not good for this. Just have not even you can cancel, we'll leave you home.
Good morning. Once again, make sure your phones are turned off, please.
Good idea.
I am Kenneth Carrothers, Commander of the American Legion Post, Mineral County Post 19, here in Hawthorne, Nevada. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out and paying a tribute to our veterans. I'd like to start off by introducing our speakers. To my right, we have Lieutenant Colonel Dustin Bishop from the Hawthorne Army Depot. We have past National Commander in Chief of the BFW, John Stroud. And Kate Benscooter, the Chaplain of Mineral County Post 19. This time, I'd like to ask everyone to stand and uncover so the chaplain can do opening prayer for us.
Oh God, eternal Father and everlasting King of heaven and earth, we render you knowledge of your supreme dominance over us and gratitude for your parental solicitation and watchfulness. As we gather here in humble recognition of your divine providence, we beseech you to usher into our world of confusion and doubt the peace and tranquility which alone can come from you. Bless and protect our nation. Be mindful of our honored dead, the memories of whose valor, courage, heroism inspires us to noble action and to eternal vigilance in the preservation of our priceless liberty and of our inalienable rights to enduring happiness. Guide and direct our minds to a thorough understanding of our duties to you, to our country, and to one another. Awaken in our hearts the desire and the will to accomplish the ideals from which this nation exists, so that our determination and endeavor there may emerge a better world, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to preserving the individual rights and dignity of man, a world of tolerance and justice, a world of intent, loving and serving you, our Lord and Master. Amen.
Amen. Stays good. We got a silver flag. Well, maybe not. Thought we had to.
Thank you, Chaplain Ben Scooter. This time, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Dustin Bishop of the Hawthorne Army Depot.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hawthorne and Middle County, thank you. It's my privilege to be here today to honor a very special group of people, America's veterans. Also, thank you to Ken Carrothers, the Legion Commander, for inviting me to speak. Today, all across our country, in town halls, city squares, parades, places such as this, we celebrate and honor America's veterans for their devotion, patriotism, selfless service, and sacrifice on behalf of us all. So, throw me a round of applause for the veterans. Veterans Day is a day of tribute and reflection, but perhaps most importantly, a day of celebration. It is a triumph of all those who have served and are serving to keep us free. Veterans Day pays tribute to our veterans and all they make possible to our great nation. Armistice Day begins remembrance of all those American service members who died in World War I and is celebrated the Armistice Agreement signed on November 11, 1918 in France. The agreement took place at 11 o'clock in the morning and ended hostilities on the Western Front. The very first Armistice Day later became Veterans Day, was observed in a solemn fashion with performances by military bands in cities and military posts across the U.S. The commemoration of Veterans Day has evolved over generations and over the course of our nation's wars. It has become less quiet and more grand, part reflection and part celebration. On this day, we recognize that today's veterans of World War Wars, World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and many other battles all share the same blood and the same sacrifice. Abraham Lincoln said, "Honor to the soldier and sailor everywhere who bravely bears his country's cause. Honor also to the citizen who cares for his brother in the field and serves as he best can, the same cause." Regardless of military branch, our veterans have served in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard. This day belongs to all of them, just as it belongs to the vast generations of patriots who have came before. From the Minutemen who won our independence to today's warriors turning back aggression all around the world. The line of Americans willing to risk their lives for this land and the ideals and people they love is long and never ending. Each of them is part of our military's patriotic legacy. They have served with honor and dignity. They have served in different places and in different ways. They have not only fought our wars, they have preserved the peace, whether in the faraway land or in home station. They have lived uncommon lives under common banner, a love for country and a service to their fellow men. It is therefore fitting that we pause the nation as a people to recognize their service and sacrifices. President Calvin Coolidge said long ago, "The nation which forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten." Well, America doesn't have that problem. Your attendance here today attests to that. We will never forget our veterans, nor will we ever forget our POWs and MIAs who have yet to be accounted for. This is a solemn promise from a grateful nation. We will not forget the families of those veterans either, because they too have served, sacrificed, and deserve our thanks and admiration. So join me in a round of applause for our veterans' families also. America must ensure that freedoms our veterans helped to preserve, and the nation they fought to defend is safe and secure for future generations of Americans. One way we do that in the Army is to ensure our force is trained, manned, and equipped to meet the global security challenges that threaten our national security. While no right-thinking person wants war, we believe a ready and resilient American Army is the best chance for peace. It was our first commanding general, George Washington, who said, "To be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace." Therefore, we are committed to building and maintaining an agile, adaptive army that can deter or defeat any aggressors. When must always be ready to fight and win our nation's wars as part of the joint force. It's a demanding challenge, but it's how we keep faith in these veterans who have already given so much. Right now, all around the country, veterans serve as teachers, doctors, engineers, social workers, community leaders, first responders, and even elected officials. They continue to serve this country, this community, by making positive impacts, building stronger futures, and inspiring future generations. We have a duty to support them. All Americans are charged with the responsibility to ensure the service and sacrifice of all of our veterans are not forgotten, but continuously echoed in respective communities across the nation and world. Because this is the 100th anniversary of World War I, I'd like to leave you with this famous moving poem written during the First World War by Canadian physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. He was inspired to write it on May 3rd, 1915, after presiding over the funeral of his friend and fellow soldier, Lieutenant Alex Helmer. According to legend, fellow soldiers retrieved the poem after McCrae, initially dissatisfied with his work, discarded it. In Flanders Fields was first published on December 8th of that year in a London magazine. This is one of the most quoted poems from the war. As a result of its immediate popularity, parts of the poem were used in efforts and appeals to recruit soldiers and raise money selling war bonds. Its reference to the red poppies that grew over the graves of fallen soldiers resulted in the remembrance poppy becoming one of the world's most recognized memorial symbols for soldiers who have died in conflict. So I'll now read the poem. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. And the dead, short days ago, we lived, fell dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up a quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. In closing, when we think of how much our veterans and their families have done in our nation, how do we honor their sacrifice? How do we celebrate their service? How do we make a difference in the lives of the men and women who have made such a difference in our lives? What can each of us do? I say we can start right now by thanking all the veterans here today. Please take the opportunity to shake a veteran's hand and tell them thank you for serving and protecting our nation. I thank all of you for coming today, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, Colonel. This time I'd like to introduce John Stroud, past National Commander of VFW and Commander of John Franklin Shank Post here in Hawthorne, Nevada.
Colonel Bishop, Commander Carrothers, Chaplain Ben Scooter, fellow veterans, citizens of America's patriotic home. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's truly an honor to join with you today as we recognize all of America's veterans, all of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who have selflessly gone wherever they were called on to serve. This year, Veterans Day has an extra meaning, as 100 years ago, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the Great War, the war to end all wars, finally ended. Originally created in recognition of World War I veterans, this first Veterans Day was observed on November 11th, 1921 at Arlington National Cemetery and was marked by the burial of the unknown soldier from World War I. Even nearly 100 years later, as we gather to reflect on those who have fought to preserve the freedoms every American enjoys, there are thousands of men and women in our military once again taking up arms against the enemies of our way of life. Like generations of patriots who came before them, these few shoulder the burden for many. They serve because they know it is necessary for the greater good. Now, more than ever, it's important that we take the time to thank the men and women who selflessly sacrifice to serve in our armed forces. It's because of their dedication and sacrifice that we celebrate Veterans Day, to recognize and honor all those who have placed country above self, who have determined the safety and security of others as more important than their own, and who have done their duty by taking their place in line, just as generations of military men and women have done before them. To those of us who have worn or continue to wear the uniform of our great country, and to our family members who stand just as strong at home, there is no doubt that Veterans Day brings with it a meaningful significance. To every American veteran, Veterans Day means much more than just a federal holiday. It is on this day when we honor the contributions and sacrifices of the more than 22 million veterans and service members who have proudly served our country, and all those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the name of liberty and justice. Every generation of Americans undoubtedly owes a debt of gratitude to these brave patriots. And we must do everything we can to make sure the men and women who serve in today and tomorrow's military receive what that they need to accomplish their mission of safeguarding America's interests. As an organization comprised solely upon people who have been there ourselves, we are well prepared. As circumstance and necessity demands, our military stands ready to do whatever is needed to defend our nation, just as we at the VFW stand ready to provide them with the support and assistance they need long after their service is over. Our men and women in uniform today share the same military ideas and experiences of yesterday's veterans. They chose to serve because they have a common belief in a cause higher than themselves and a shared sense of duty. They willingly assume all the risks associated with maintaining our freedom and liberties and preserving the ideals of democracy. More than anyone, veterans understand the real meaning of America. Maintaining the strength of the American ideal requires courage, constant vigilance, as well as sacrifice. There should be no doubt that without the sacrifice of our veterans, without their love and dedication of spirit, tyrants and evil would prevail. If we could make any demand, I would demand my fellow citizens keep our keepers of peace and protectors of our freedoms, our veterans, with the care and respect they so richly and rightfully deserve. Those of us who care to honor America's heroes gather because we are honoring our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers, our brothers and sisters who are serving on behalf of everyone in our great country, just like the generations of American patriots did before them. Time and again, our country has confronted countless challenges, and I know we will face many more in the days and years ahead. But the citizens of our great nation can rest assured that our values and freedom are being fearlessly guarded by a greatly determined and highly dedicated military, gallant soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who willingly bear the cost of America's wars and continue to stand watch over America's peace. For every single man and woman who has donned a U.S. military uniform, by virtue of their service and sacrifice, today is their day to stand tall and be recognized by a grateful nation. Today and every day, we must take the opportunity to keep alive the memories, sacrifices, and accomplishments of our nation's veterans. And we must embrace every occasion to educate future generations, the public, and elected officials on the accomplishments, importance, and needs of our nation's veterans. I hope as we leave here today, each of us will be motivated and inspired by the deeds and accomplishments of patriots, past and present. I hope this motivation will help lead us into a brighter future, armed with a renewed sense of patriotism and purpose. We must remain committed to a stronger nation and to our veterans, for it is our veterans who have sacrificed and paid the highest price for all of us. I would like to close by inviting you all to VFW Post 2313 from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, where we will be serving, rightfully so, hero sandwiches. The meal will be free to all veterans, and we ask for a $5 donation for non-veterans. God bless you and your families. God bless every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guardsman guarding the gates of freedom as we gather here today. God bless America's veterans, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Stroud. It was 100 years ago today, at 11 a.m. on 11/11. That's November 11, 1918, when the armistice began, which ended World War I. It was a conflict so bloody and horrific that many optimistically referred to it as the war to end all wars. Sadly, it wasn't. It was that war which led to the founding of our organization, the American Legion, and a commitment by this country to care for veterans who came home blinded by mustard gas, shell-shocked from trench warfare, or impoverished due to their military service. It is a commitment that continues today, whether the wounds be inflicted by IED in Afghanistan or injuries from a training accident in California. It is a commitment that covers veterans of all races, religions, genders, and economic classes. And while we currently have a strong economy, veterans still have a higher chance of homelessness than those who have not served in uniform. Too often, a veteran's highly skilled service isn't fully appreciated in the civilian sector, where certifications and college degrees sometimes outweigh common sense. The best way to eliminate veterans' homelessness is to reduce veterans' unemployment and provide treatment to those who may try self-medication as a means to deal with their post-traumatic stress disorder. A simple but proven way to thank a veteran is to hire a veteran. It offers hope and opportunity to those who have not just earned a shot at the American dream, but have defended the freedom of others to do the same. Employers should understand that it is smart business to hire veterans, and when members of the National Guard and the military reserves deploy, it is America's business to ensure that their civilian careers do not suffer. America is fortunate to have had millions of brave men and women stand for freedom since our country's founding. We owe it to them all to ensure that their service and sacrifice is always remembered. We also remember their families who sacrifice time with their loved ones, perform a disproportionate share of household responsibilities, and often have to make difficult career and educational adjustments due to frequent address changes. Military service is not like the private sector. Most civilian jobs do not require a serious risk of life or limb to fulfill a dangerous mission or subject employees to criminal charges for disobeying their boss. Unlike their military counterparts, civilians can live where they want and choose other career options whenever they want. But today is a day for civilians and, in fact, all Americans to recognize those who have given us those freedoms, the veterans of the United States military. God bless you all. God bless our nation. And God bless our veterans. I thank you all for coming out. That concludes our ceremony. And we're very fortunate. God's blessed us with this beautiful day to pay our respects to our veterans. Thank you all.
I know that girl.
First grade one.